Good morning everyone. Myself Narmada Biswal, tutor College of Nursing Bhimsar Burla. Today I am going to discuss regarding supportive therapy for COVID-19 patient. As hospitals globally experience large influxes of patients with COVID-19 wave 2, a leading cause of morbidity and mortality, so treating the many manifestations and complications requires clinical expertise across the healthcare professional spectrum. Therefore, interprofessional and multidisciplinary collaboration should form the cornerstone of every hospital's COVID-19 management approach. To date, supportive measures have been the mainstay of treatment. What do the term supportive treatment or supportive therapy mean? Supportive treatment refers to what we can do to relieve the symptoms of COVID-19 wave 2 by using some strategies. For example, by closely monitoring patients, we are helping them to breathe easily or comfortably, treating their coughs, and also providing psychological and social supports to them and their relatives. Providing these supportive measures through a multidisciplinary approach can optimize patient outcomes during this pandemic situation. Some supportive therapies are listed. First, strategy 1, multidisciplinary meetings. Strategy 2, early and frequent prone positioning. Strategy 3, avoid hypoxia. Strategy 4, early mobilization and rehabilitation. Strategy 5, evidence-based approach. Strategy 6, psychological support. Strategy 7, social support. Strategy 8, palliative care triaging. Strategy 9, communication. Strategy 10, anxiety and distress among healthcare providers. Let me explain one by one. Strategy 1, multidisciplinary meeting. Daily multidisciplinary team meetings should take place to discuss patient needs, problems, and also formulate comprehensive management plans accordingly. Our multidisciplinary team consists of pulmonologist, infectious disease specialist, internist, rheumatologist, intensivist, nephrologist, and hematologist, as well as nursing supervisor, infection control nurses, case managers, respiratory technicians, physiotherapists, and clinical pharmacologists. Involving physiotherapists and case managers yearly helps patients with who may need rehabilitation services upon recovery. This hurdles provides opportunity for early identification and prevention for high-risk patients by collaborating between the primary team and the critical care team members. Strategy 2, prone positioning for self-care. Early and frequent prone positioning should be encouraged for all hospitalized COVID-19 patients with dyspnea, hypoxia, or who require supplemental oxygen support. Recent literature suggests that its use may decrease the need for intubation in patients on high-flow nasal cannula or non-invasive ventilation. So, proning is the process of turning a patient with precise, safe motion from their back onto their abdomen so the individual is lying face down. Proning is a medically accepted position to improve breathing comfort and oxygenation. It is extremely beneficial in COVID-19 patients with compromised breathing comfort, especially during home isolation. The importance of prone positioning. First, the prone positioning improves ventilation, keeps open the collapsed alveolar units, and it makes the breathing easy. Proning is required only when the patient feels difficulty in breathing and the oxygen saturation decreases below 94. Regular monitoring of oxygen saturation along with other signs like body temperature, blood pressure and blood sugar is important during home isolation. Missing out on hypoxia may lead to worsening of complications. Timely proning and maintaining good ventilation could save many lives in this pandemic situation. During running positioning, the position of pillow, one pillow should be placed below the neck, one or two pillows should be placed below the chest through upper thigh, and two pillows should be placed below the shins. For self-running, you will need 4 to 5 pillows. Regular alterations in lying position should be there. Best is to not spend more than 30 minutes in each position of running position. The positioning for self-running, time duration, first cycle 30 minutes to 2 hours. The patient should have the position by lying fully prone and the bed should be flat. Next second cycle 30 minutes to 2 hours, lying on right side, bed flat. Then third cycle 30 minutes to 2 hours. The patient should sitting up, adjust head of bed 30 to 60 degrees. In the fourth cycle 30 minutes to 2 hours, the patient should lying on left side and the bed should be flat. And in the fifth or last cycle, the 30 minutes to 2 hours, the patient should maintain the position as the position 1, that is lying fully prone and bed should be flat. Then there are some cautions to be followed when you are adopting the prone positioning. Avoid proning for an hour after meals. Maintain proning for only as much times as early tolerable. One may prone for up to 16 hours a day in multiple cycles or the patient has felt comfortable. Pillows may be adjusted slightly to alter pressure areas and for comfort. Keep a track of any pressure source or injuries, especially around the bony prominences. Some conditions like pregnancy, deep vein thrombosis, major cardiac conditions, unstable spine, femur or pelvic fracture, the proning position should be avoided. In emergency condition, non-self-pronatic patient should follow 5-step method to place a patient in the prone position using a regular bed, flat seat and family members. First step, using a flat seat, pull the patient to one side of the bed. In the second step, place the flat seat around the arm that will pull through the side you are turning towards. In the third stage, a second flat seat is placed on the bed and tucked under the patient. This seat will pull through as you are turning the patient. Using the seat, turn the patient over and position the patient prone. The arm and seat will pull across the bed, and in the fifth step, pull and center the patient, discard the seat that was used to place the patient in the supine position, and then after that strengthen lines and tubes. Then strategy 3, avoid hypoxia. As all of you know, oxygen is the key drug in the management of COVID-19 patients who very frequently develops poor saturation of oxygen resulting in organ damage. So regularly monitor oxygen saturation and target SpO2 should be in the range of 92 to 96%, but in the case of chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, it should be ranged from 80 to 92%. Encourage proning position to avoid hypoxia, and it decreases the demand of supplemental oxygen therapy which can be used in acute shortage situation of oxygen. Regularly monitor oxygen saturation to identify any sign of cyanosis that may be central or peripheral present in the COVID patient. Strategy 4, early mobilization and rehabilitation. To minimize disability and optimize chances of returning patients to their pre-morbid level of function, our physicians and nursing personnel should encourage early mobilization of the COVID-19 patient. They also work closely with occupational therapists and physical therapists to implement early rehabilitation programs for COVID-19 recovered patients. Strategy 5, evidence-based approach. When faced with many critically ill patients, and a highly contagious novel pathogen, many physicians have prescribed treatments as off-label or compassionate treatment. Yet effective treatments can only be identified through large randomized control trials. Our hospital is currently involved in several clinical trials of potential COVID-19 treatment, including hemoperfusion and convalescent plasma therapy, and also use of other immunomodulating therapies such as steroids. Nursing personnel must be used evidence-based approach in their clinical practice to render quality care to the patient. COVID-19 has challenged us especially when it comes to evidence-based nursing, which not only focused on provision of the best possible care to the patient, but also it protects ourselves from the hidden virus. Strategy 6. Psychological support. This pandemic situation can develop varying degree of stress and worsening the pre-existing mental condition of the patient and their family members. It could be due to social isolation, ICU admission, or fear of illness or fear of death. So it can be provided by 3A: assessment, analyze, act. In the assessment step, the nursing personnel should do rapid assessment to identify psychological symptoms of patient and their relatives like depression, anxiety, stress. Then after that, you should analyze the level of psychological conditions in a contextual manner, and lastly, after analyze the level of psychological condition, that is act. You should reassurance the patient and their relatives and counsel them to adopt positive coping mechanisms to manage their stress. Strategy 7. Social support. The social suffering could be due to disease stigmatization, social isolation, being barred from the community due to illness, and negative perception of the illness. It can be mitigated by taking steps to meet the basic needs like food, shelter, and clothing, and also further steps like community education about the illness and fear of illness and stigma, and creating a voluntary social support group involving the community leaders for social support. Palliative strategy 8. Palliative care triaging. That is, palliative care regards dying as a normal process and never intends to postpone death. Palliative care triaging in a humanitarian crisis like COVID-19 situation is classified into 4 categories, and this is adopted from the WHO guideline. First category, color code is red, immediate. That means survival possible with immediate treatment. Emergency palliative care should be integrated with life-sustaining treatment as much as possible. Second, expectant, color code blue, survival not possible given the care that is available. Palliative care is required. Third, delay, the color code is yellow, not in immediate danger of death, but patient requires immediate treatment soon. Palliative care and or symptom relief may be nevertheless be needed immediately. Minimal, that is color code green, will need medical care at some point in the future or acute post illness. Palliative care may be required for relief of symptoms. Strategy 9. Communication. Nursing personnel should communicating updated information regarding the foregoing treatment of patient to their relative and patients also. After consulting with the treating consultant, it prepares the patient and their relatives mentally to accept any mishaps in the future, and also it helps to reduce anxiety level among them. If the communication is not possible by face-to-face due to infection control protocols, then it can be happen by virtual mode like telephony. So there are some tips that should be followed during communication. That means which type of statement we can use and which type of statements we should avoid during communication. The first statement, there is nothing more we can do for the patient. This type of statement should be avoided during communication. In place of that statement, you can betterly use, we will do everything possible to take care of the patient. Next, you must be very strong and brave now. This statement should be avoided, and in place of that statement you can betterly use, we understand that it is an emotional and it is okay to feel scared and anxious. Next statement, don't worry, patient will die peacefully with these drugs. No, you cannot use this type of statement. Instead of this statement you can use, you will do the best, we will do the best we can to see that the patient does not suffer and made comfortable. Then next statement, you cannot be with your patient, it can be dangerous for you. This type of statement should be avoided, and instead of this statement you can betterly use, I am sorry that you can't have your loved one around you. We are doing everything possible to protect you while we are caring for your loved one. Strategy 10, anxiety and distress among healthcare providers. It is the healthcare providers caring for COVID-19 patients suffers from anxiety and depression due to the risk to their own life, burnout situation and compassion fatigue. So after all, it provides an opportunity for all healthcare providers, especially the nursing personnel, to improve their professional knowledge and different skills in clinical practice. It also provides a good opportunity for the nursing professional to serve their nation and serve the people. So don't be panicked, have patience and follow proper guidelines when dealing with the COVID-19 positive cases. The authorities should ensure all facilities and precautions to their staff. The healthcare providers should maintain hydration, which enhances mental and physical well-being of the patient and also the nursing personnel. Different relaxation techniques should be adopted by the nursing personnel or healthcare providers to adapt to cope up with this pandemic situation in a better way, and it will help to reduce the health personnel's anxiety level and to have a better life. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you, COVID warriors. Thank you all.